Hi, and welcome to Check Your Thread, a podcast about sewing more sustainably. My name's Zoe, and I'm obsessed with sewing. I've been blogging about it for over 13 years and am the creator and host of the popular handmade wardrobe challenge, Me Made May. But like many people, I've become increasingly concerned about the climate crisis and the way my lifestyle contributes to it. So in this podcast, I'll be nerding out about making clothes whilst exploring how to minimise the negative impact that it may have. I really hope you'll join me on this journey. Hi all, how are you doing? I'm recording this intro a little earlier than usual so we can get this episode scheduled before myself and my family go away for a few days. So this is the first break, not counting a trip to my in-laws, that we've had in almost 3 years, so I'm very excited. So how's your making been going? This week I got my son's swimming shorts finished, and then I decided to make myself another swimwear item to test out on a little break. I made the Helen's Closet Sandpiper swimming cozy, but just the top part in plain black swimwear fabric, and I can wear that with the bottoms part of the Vanazza two-piece that I made recently. The Sandpiper top feels super tight, so I might remake it in a size larger at some point. So how have your sustainability goals been going? This week, I've been fiddling with my boiler in an attempt to use less energy. I've reduced the temperature that it heats the water to, plus I realised it has a preheat setting that was switched on. From what I understand, the preheat setting means that it heats up the water at intervals throughout the day. So when you turn on a hot tap, you don't have to wait for ages for the water to actually start coming out hot. It's a real waste of energy though, in my opinion, so I've switched that setting off and it really has made no difference. So I'd recommend checking yours as well to see if yours has something similar, which is inadvertently switched on. I've already turned my thermostat down to pretty much the lowest temperature that my family will deem acceptable, and I've reduced the amount of time the heating comes on to the bare minimum. If you haven't already, I definitely recommend having a fiddle about with your thermostat and your boiler if you're looking to save energy and money. So let's just get on with today's episode. When this one goes out, we'll be but 2 weeks away from the start of Me Made May, which, as you hopefully know by now, is the wardrobe challenge that helps you improve your relationship with your handmade wardrobe and teach you lots of lessons to inform your clothing making going forwards. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, please pause this episode and then go and listen to episodes 36 and 37 in that order before coming back to this. So this one is the third and final episode in the mini-series that is all about Me Made May. In this one, I expand on last week's episode about setting your own unique pledge. And today we'll flip it and discuss super simple basic pledges that still offer heaps of learning potential. If you're just not sure what your wardrobe goals are, or you just do not have the headspace for anything complicated right now, this episode provides the solution. We also hear from 2 more previous podcast guests, Amy, Dyce and Judith Staley, who also chose simple pledges for their challenges. They talk about the wealth of takeaways that they accrued from this approach and give us some thought-provoking insights about applying the lessons learned. As I mentioned last week, if you're interested in Me Made May but unsure of any aspect, feel free to contact me via email, zoe@checkyourthread, or via Instagram @checkyourthread or @sozoblog. Okay, enjoy! In episode 37, we focused on getting the most out of your Me Made challenge by setting well thought out, useful pledges that are tailored to your wardrobe and your goals. We talked about what you might learn and how you might set a challenge to give yourself the chance to tackle any obvious wardrobe issues you may have. But what if you're not sure what your wardrobe issues are? What if crafting a carefully considered pledge isn't something you've got the headspace for right now? You can still learn a ton about your wardrobe and make great strides in getting closer to the wardrobe you dream of by setting yourself a very simple standard pledge. Picking an uncomplicated formula, as long as it is challenging but doable for you, will still give you a chance to learn and play about throughout the month. As I said in episode 37, a great way to start is by finding out exactly what you have. Try to find a chunk of time to get all your handmade items out in one place. I did that 13 years ago, and it's what spurred me on to initiate the first ever Me Made challenge, because I wanted to know if my collection of Me Mades could function as a wardrobe. I'm pretty sure that uncovering everything that you have will be a really illuminating exercise. Then cast your mind back a week or so, or pay attention to what you're wearing for a few days. How many handmade items do you wear on average already? Then set your simple pledge by choosing to up the frequency slightly, or by altering how you wear them. For example, if you usually wear a handmade item twice a week, pledge to wear a handmade item 4 times a week. Or if you usually wear 2 handmade items a day, make it 3. Or keep wearing 2 handmade items each day, but make sure you wear a different outfit combination each day. Choosing one of these simple formulae of upping the frequency or trying out different clothing combinations will give you heaps of learning opportunities. So let's hear from someone else who found out lots by upping the amount of handmade items worn. Amy Dyce is the owner of Craft and Thrift, which stocks a great selection of second-hand fabric and sewing items. Right, let's chat about Me Made May.
Yes.
So Me Made May. So do you remember when you first heard about Me Made May or how you first heard about it?
I actually think it was whenever you first started it. So how long have you been going with Me Made May?
13 years.
No way. Oh my God. That's incredible. If Me Made May was a kid, it would be at secondary school doing its GCSEs. It'd be a teenager drinking behind the bus shelter. Yeah. Your blog was one of the first blogs that I ever remember following in the sewing community. Yours and I think Jen Beeman from Grainline.
Yes.
So those were my sort of my OG sewing blogs, and I remember you talking about Me Made May, but I actually only really took part for the first time 2 years ago.
Right.
I was making a lot of clothing, but it wasn't at the good quality enough, basically, to wear it every day. So
you don't have to wear it every day.
I know. And in retrospect, I feel bad because it's all about like making the effort, isn't it? So my pledge could have been to wear one thing a week or whatever. Yeah. But I don't know. In my head, I was like, nah, I'm not good enough yet for this. I'll keep watching.
That makes
kind
me
of thing.
so sad.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, I totally understand what you mean. And I think that is something that's very common. It's something I hear a lot is people going, I don't have enough to participate. And part of one of the reasons why I'm kind of doing a couple of episodes about Me Made May is to dispel that myth that even if you have just one handmade thing, yeah, it might not be super interesting, but you can participate and you can learn loads from focusing on what you've got, maybe how you use it, and then maybe what you want, in the future. But anyway, back to you. So you participated the first time a couple of years ago. Can you remember what your pledge was?
So I don't think I've ever actually made a pledge because I did go back to have a look at sort of what I'd posted on Instagram and whatnot at the time. And I didn't really ever make a formal pledge. I think in my mind, I was like, if I make a formal pledge, then I kind of have to stick to it, which I know is kind of the point of having a pledge. But I was like, I want to keep it sort of casual and something that can sort of dip in and out of. And, if it all gets a bit too much, then it doesn't matter if I drop out on day 11 or whatever. But I think in my head, I was like, I'll try and wear one Me Made thing a day. So that was sort of my internal pledge. I just didn't ever sort of announce it to the world. I love that, an internal
pledge. No, I know what you mean. Sometimes I think for some people, saying things out loud, it's a bit scary, and then it becomes almost something. I know I feel like this sometimes. It's almost something then you don't want to do it because you kind of feel beholden.
Yeah, totally. And you don't want to fail. You don't want to feel like you've failed, even though it's kind of ridiculous because you're doing it for fun on social media, basically. So nobody cares if you drop out at day 11. No one's going to be like, you failed.
But I know what you mean. Yeah, it's complicated, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how did you get on that first year?
So the first year, I remember I took photos every day, and because it was 2 years ago, it was first lockdown Mark
2020.
Yeah, totally. And it happened to fall when I was between jobs, so I had this sort of month in May where I was job hunting, but it meant I had a lot of free time that I wouldn't normally. And my husband does events, so of course his work all got cancelled overnight as well. So we were spending, our allotted hour a day out exercising with the dogs. So it was kind of an easy time for me to be like, can you just take a quick photo of my outfit? That was really nice in a way that it was kind of a nice distraction at this sort of quite stressful time for everyone, obviously. But it was quite nice to just have this sort of hour a day where we would just go out and pot around Edinburgh with the dogs and take some pretty pictures of my clothes kind of thing in it.
Nice. I think it provided a nice kind of positive distraction for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So then the following year, last year, 2021.
Yeah, so last year I did little videos. So at the time I was trying to get a YouTube channel going for my business. But before I sort of closed it down, I say that it is still live on YouTube, the channel. But in May I did these little videos. So it was literally a minute or a minute and a half every day where I took a video of my outfit, and then I did a bonus eco tip. So
I loved it. I love the way you kind of used it as this kind of platform to kind of talk about sustainability stuff. I thought it was great.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I still stand by the format of video plus eco tip is definitely something that I'm going to repeat this year on Instagram rather than in YouTube, where it's just slightly easier to like take videos and yeah.
Very cool. So by that, I can assume that you are taking part this year.
So yeah, I'm definitely going to take part again this year. I think I've got to the point now where my handmade wardrobe is pretty solid. Like I have mostly handmade items, including pants using your pants pattern. So yeah, so I can wear handmade almost every day, which is really nice.
So how are you going to set your pledge so it's challenging but doable?
So I know it's not quite me made specific, but I'd probably go back to the sort of video plus eco tip being part of my pledge somehow.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking of doing is a daily video, probably in stories, with a bonus eco tip, and then maybe a reel once a week with a sort of roundup of the outfits that I've worn that week, and then maybe in the comments, like not in the comments, in the caption, have a roundup of the eco tips from that week, and then maybe like particularly amazing outfits go on the grid. But if I'm honest, the vast majority of my time I spend in like sweatpants, so nobody wants to see like two pairs of Hudsons two pairs of Hudsons that are exactly the same, worn every day.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
That's what I think is really interesting, actually, because when Me Made May kind of rolls around, you can see what people are really wearing.
Yeah.
And some of the older patterns or things that have been out for quite a while, you know, what's stood the test of time and what people actually reach for in their daily lives. I find that it's really useful and it's really interesting.
It is, yeah, it's totally true. And I guess that's kind of the sewing equivalent of fast fashion versus slow fashion, I guess, or like
investment pieces.
Yes, I love it. My investment pieces are my Hudson sweatpants.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because I guess, yeah, you're right. Like people get sort of, you know, caught up in the excitement of the new pattern coming out, and I guess don't necessarily think too much about whether it's something that will fit in their wardrobe or their lifestyle. And then you've spent hours of time making something that maybe just languishes, whereas the stuff that you wear every day is the stuff that's probably, for all it's boring, it's probably worth spending more time sewing more. For me, it would be like, Hudson's and Lou box tops. Like I reach for them literally every day. So,
and then maybe making sure that the next time you make them, maybe taking that a little bit more time, maybe choosing that slightly nicer fabric, or having fun with a new finish.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because I wrote about this in my newsletter a couple of months ago, that because I've made the Hudson so many times now, but I've only actually ended up with 2 wearable, like long-term wearable pieces. And it's because I think in the past I've chosen the wrong fabric. So I've chosen stuff that's bobbled really quickly or isn't stretchy enough, so like I can get them on, but they're not like comfy the way sweatpants should be, or they're just the wrong color. And it makes me feel a little bit anal, but I've kind of realized that like even in my loungewear, I want to feel like things I'm wearing kind of match and go together. And I think I've made stuff in the past just because I happen to have that jersey in my stash or whatever. And then when I start to wear it, I'm like, but this colour doesn't go with anything. And now I just feel a little bit of a shambles. So even though I'm just like hanging out in my house, I still want to feel a little bit put together.
Yeah, completely.
You know, when Pete the Postie knocks on the door, I don't look like I've just rolled out of bed. But
so when you took part, say last year or the year before, what were your takeaways from the challenge? What did you learn about your wardrobe?
This is where I know that you say documenting it isn't essential, and, you know, don't let that be a barrier to entry. And I totally think that's right. Like if people are listening thinking, but I don't want to take an outfit photo every day, I would say definitely don't feel like you have to. That's, you know,
and there's people that listen to this podcast that don't have any form of social media as well. And I don't want to think that, it's only for people who have Instagram or something.
It's true. Yeah, totally. Having said that, I found documenting it every day to be super useful, because the
Brilliant.
first year I did it, when Andrew took photos of me every day, I found looking back at those pictures really helpful to work out kind of what styles I really liked and suited me versus ones that just looked a bit weird or awkward, colours that didn't really suit me. So actually, after the first year of doing it, I ended up giving away something like 3 bin sacks of clothing to charity that were just stuff that had been sitting in my wardrobe for like months or years, never really getting worn, or like wardrobe orphans, you know, where you've got a shirt and you're like, oh, well, you know, at some point I'll make 4 other items to go with it, and you never do. So either that's the thing for me that languishes, or that I wear once in a blue moon with something that doesn't really match, and then I spend the whole day feeling a little bit weird and awkward, and then I don't wear it again for like 6 months, because at the back of my mind I'm like, oh, but it'll be fine because I'll knit a sweater that goes with it, and I'll sew a pair of trousers, whatever.
Yeah, which are both really big investments of time and energy and resources.
Totally. And it's like, I'm all for recycling and reusing, and obviously if you know, if you've bought or made something that you're like, I know that this is going to really work and it's going to be totally worth me making 2 pairs of trousers to go with it, go for it. But then for me, I would say, then just do it. You know, like, I've got the skills to make 2 pairs of trousers if that's what I need to do. So I'm very lucky and privileged in that way that I've got to this point in my sewing journey where I could do it. And then I just don't for whatever reason. Right. And I feel like for those pieces, it's like, well, if I'm not just doing it, there's a reason, you know, like go back to the original item of clothing and be like, well, what is it about this that's not inspiring me to like whip out some denim and make a second pair of trousers or something, like. And I feel like that thought process was not something I'd ever really like formalized until I did Mean Made May the first time. And then I sort of realized that there was quite a lot of stuff I was just holding on to because I'd bought it for $2.99 from a charity shop, and it was Bowden, so it would have cost 60 quid new, so it was a total bargain, even though it wasn't really my color or style, and I'd have to make 3 things to go with it. And you're like, but somebody else will love it way more than me, and will, you know, it'll slot right into their wardrobe and they'll wear it 3 times a week. And
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Amy. Thank you so much. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing both what you're going to be wearing and your eco tips this year.
Oh, thanks so much for hosting again. It's so awesome. It's such a great thing you do for the community. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks to Amy for sharing her past experiences and future plans for Me Made May. I was very taken with her approach to thinking through and dealing with wardrobe orphans. That's some great advice there. Now let's hear from Judith Staley, the talented maker who founded and co-runs the Sew Over 50 community over on Instagram. With every interaction I've had with Judith, I found her to be an incredibly thoughtful and insightful person, the perfect person to head up such a significant and ever-growing community of makers. Can you remember when you maybe first heard of the challenge or how it came about for you?
I've just spent an hour going back through my Instagram to find out because, I couldn't remember. So 2016,
right.
I didn't take part, but I became aware of it during the month. So that's when, and I can't remember how, obviously just seeing other people posting about it. So
so maybe you took part the first time the following year?
Yes. So the next year, I probably the same pledge each year, more or less. Pledge to wear. Well, that one was pledged to wear Me Made as much as possible, assess what I wear and what I don't wear out of my wardrobe, hoping to keep focused on slow sewing. So I was already thinking of slow sewing and planning of what garments to make in the future. I said I may or may not post each day, and I think what I did was a weekly post.
Nice.
And at the end of the month, I worked out what I didn't wear. The things that I didn't wear were, because it was inappropriate for the season or the occasion, there were just too many dresses. I'd made too many dresses, and that made me realise I'd made too many dresses. And my conclusion, it was somebody called Faye had said this, and was continue to learn to sew what I want to wear and not what I want to sew. And that was when I first sort of came across that. When I first started sewing, you want to sew, I want to sew that person's made, that person's made, or that new pattern. But it was beginning to think of what I want to wear.
Yeah.
And that's not dresses all the time. I mean, I like dresses, but I don't wear them a lot. So
so you don't need a wardrobe full.
No. So that was a really good sort of insight that first year.
Oh, I love how kind of considered and thoughtful you went in with that, with some specific goals, and you achieved them. That's amazing.
Yeah. So the next year, I didn't sign up. On the 30th of April, I said, I'm not signing up because I was going to Canada for a couple of weeks and Italy for a long weekend. And I thought I wouldn't really be in a place to be recording. And then I see that I had a conversation with a couple of people, including Helen. I don't know, Grow Grey Green. Do you know Helen?
Right.
Grow Grey
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Anyway, I had a chat with her. She said, you could still do it. And not. Anyway, 1st of May, scrap what I said yesterday. I am going to join in.
I love it. I'm not going to miss out.
Yeah. It was the same sort of pledge. Look what I don't wear. Look where there's gaps. And look where I can repair things or change things. But I sort of fizzled out halfway through because I was away a lot. But, but I think I sort of did. Yeah, so 2019, I logged what I wore each day on, and I made, the 1 second everyday video. Yeah. I made that, so I did a little video each day of what I was wearing, and then did a compilation at the end of the month.
How did you feel looking back at that?
Yeah, that was good because the following May, I sort of on 1st of May, I started with my last year's one as a little prompt reminder. It's quite interesting to see them all in a whole month's clothes just like that, because you sort of get a picture of what you think you look better in than other things, and it's funny because the green clothes sort of stuck out as being just me, just fit, and I'd been sewing a lot more blue at that point, but the green ones all seemed to, so that was really interesting.
Documenting your challenge that gave you that extra kind of insight. So how do you feel when you wear green?
Yes, I do I love green. And I think, my school uniform was green. So bottle green. So that was, you don't wear it then you don't like that colour for a long time. So now I do wear a lot more green. I mean, it may change. It's changing a bit. I've gone a bit more sort of mustardy, but yes, those sort of colours. But it was quite interesting how just seeing the video quick shots of me pass by.
No, you completely inspired me to do that this year.
Oh yeah, I think it's a really nice way to do it. I did the same the following year, 2020. I did that. So 2020 May was lockdown, and I wasn't expecting to be wearing anything where I got dressed up or anything. I was expecting to just be wearing very basic clothes, and I wanted to try and capture what I was wearing each day. I think each year I sort of want to do that. So I'd planned to just wear what I automatically reached for, but I found myself wearing a lot more variety than I would have done if it had been another month in lockdown. But because I was doing May, I sort of wore a lot more different things, which was quite nice, because it sort of gave a little bit of a lift to each day, I suppose.
So do you think by the fact that you'd signed up to participate, it automatically were more mindful of what you were wearing? You kind of automatically ended up kind of exploring in your wardrobe.
Definitely, yeah. And again, the reminder at the end, I have plenty of clothes and to slow my sewing down. Although I had sewn a lot in the previous 6 weeks, in lockdown, got fabric in, you'd got time. So I did do a lot more sewing than I would have done. And then last year, I posted in stories. Right. And then at the end of each week, I did a collage of that week. And again, I started off wearing quite basic T-shirts and jeans and things, but then I became a bit more dressy during the month. And my final thoughts last year were that I love my wardrobe. I've found my style, my colours, fabrics and fit that I love. There were no real gaps. I never have, and I don't have anything to wear day. Like when I was having ready to wear and you've got a wardrobe full of clothes and you think, I haven't got anything to wear. But now I don't really feel like that. I feel I've always got something to wear that I like, for whatever.
What an amazing achievement.
Yeah. And my priority, I did have priority to that. I've needed a couple of pairs of jeans or trousers and maybe a jacket or coat. And putting photos in stories and a weekly post felt less pressured than posting every day. So that was my conclusions then.
What amazing. Oh, thank you so much.
It was really interesting to go back through it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So it sounds like you've got a really healthy relationship with your Me-Made wardrobe at this point.
Yes, I have. Yes, I think I have.
So that said, do you think that you'll take part again this year, or you think you
I'm sure I will. I mean, I might have been thinking I might not, but I think I just can't help getting involved in some way. It's quite like. So
I wasn't sure that I was going to even bother to document my challenge this year, but now you said that video sounds very low pressure. I feel that would be So it sounds like you really enjoy the community aspect of the challenge as well.
Yes, I do, yes. I think that year that I wasn't going to do it, I said, I'm not going to do it, but I really enjoy watching what other people do.
I think that one of the nice things about Me and My May as well as the personal aspect, sometimes it does feel like a celebration as well, doesn't it? For the makers community.
Yeah, it does. Actually, I tried to do it sort of in February. I thought I'm going to try and do it for myself in February. Because it's, different clothes, isn't it? You wear in May, you're wearing it. Usually I've just gone into my sort of spring, summer wardrobe. I've put the winter ones away. So I thought I'd do, but I just didn't, after about 5-6 days, I sort of lost interest. But I think it's maybe you need the community thing behind it, maybe.
So interesting.
Because so many people do it. So because you asked that in your email about so over 50 and whether there's an over 50 representation. Well, our community seem to really jump into it, but so much so that it's exhausting because there's so many posts. Honestly, there's certain things when the new Fibre Mood magazine comes out, it's really busy for 2 days. There's so many posts. And May, there's so many. So last year, what we did, we got helpers and we asked them to look through our hashtag and people who were posting Me Made May. Each week we had about 5 or 6 people who looked and they chose their favourite ones and sent them to us and commented and things because it's so busy. For us, I mean, I don't know, you don't look through the whole of the Me Made May hashtags, presumably. You can't, no.
I would not see my kids for a month.
No, you wouldn't. So we'll have to do something similar this year.
I love it. It's such a busy month for you. You have to get extra staff in.
Yeah. It's your fault, Zoe. It's funny, I had a video chat with, do you know the Social Fabric, Nissan? She lives in Turkey. And she's doing a master's, sociology or something, but it's on slow fashion. So she wanted 20 people to interview for it. And I had a chat. And we were both saying that, we're at a point where we love all the clothes we've made recently. But you seem to wear the most recent makes. And, I think, right, this time next year, I'm still going to be wearing these. I'm not going to change into a whole new wardrobe. But you just sort of do. You seem to somehow make a few things that shifts your wardrobe on a bit. And although I do wear the older things, they do get a bit neglected. I do tend to wear my newest things, my newest loves.
Yeah.
Mostly. I'd like to sort of get out of that of always feeling I need new.
I wonder if there's a way that you could word your pledge then that encourages that. I don't know. For example, like one of the garments you wear every day has to be over a year old.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like that.
Yeah. I'm going to just write that down as a reminder. Because my wardrobe builds up and things go well together, but there's definitely sort of a shift that little lot go together better than fitting into that one.
Yeah.
So,
well, maybe you can discover some new combinations then if you kind of almost quote unquote force yourself to kind of look back in the archives a little bit. Yeah,
that's a good idea. Well, it was funny looking back through, to 2016, 2017. I mean, it's only 5-6 years ago, and in my lifetime, that's not very long, and yet what I sew and my approach to sewing has sort of changed so much in that time.
Yeah.
And I'm, and I've moved on, and my style is, what I make now is much more me than what I made 6 years ago through doing things like Me Made May and, assessing your wardrobe. Well, I'd love to go back and get that message a bit earlier about sew what you want to wear, not what you want to sew, because that's what it's all about, really, isn't it? Wearing. Well, to me, it's about making clothes for myself to wear that I like wearing.
It's got to be the more sustainable way to approach the wardrobe if that's something that's important to you, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's funny, isn't it? Because your approach, obviously, with Check Your and everything is about sustainability. And whereas, if you look back at Me Made May, it could have been just about, all the things that you wear. But even 6 years ago, I was getting that message from Me Made May about assessing my wardrobe. That
I think you were plugged into that message anyway, but you were clever enough to use the challenge as a way as a catalyst to help you get towards your goal.
Maybe, yes. Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah. That's something I was talking to Nissan about the other day about So Over 50, that, I'd like to get that message, subtly try to get that message in So Over 50 without being too over the top, because that's not what it's about particularly.
No.
But when there's somebody who's making loads of things of the same, and it's not that I don't comment, but I don't praise that. I'll find another way of saying something, but not praise it. When there's this thing, people put these quotes up about we all need more fabric or whatever. I don't.
Yes.
I never repost those, and
Agreed. Yeah, that would was it like she who dies with the most fabric wins? I think
that's
I
such a
hate
thing.
that.
Yeah, and that's what I really feel. That I can't clamp down on people in Sober 50. It's a community thing, but I do subtly try, bring that in by not.
But you're doing that by being an example, aren't you?
Yeah,
you're doing that by posting your beautiful makes and having those conversations and opening those thoughts in your captions. Yeah. And so I think, being an example or showing a different approach is much more powerful, isn't it, than telling people off.
Telling people off, yeah.
Never works.
Doesn't work. It doesn't work, does it? No. And you always have such a good approach to it. I love the way you say it all, and you do have a good approach that is always very open and generous to people and not telling off.
It's tough, isn't it? I've kind of subtly that the way I've interacted with Me Made May has kind of changed over the years as well, as I've kind of felt more strongly towards sustainability. Like I used to, for example, I used to do roundups of all the discount codes and stuff. Yes. And I don't do that now because, I get it that businesses want to be part of it and maybe they want to do a promotion or whatever, that's you, fine. But I'm not going to...
You don't want to promote that, no. No, because you don't want people to be buying loads of...
Manically buying stuff. Because, quick, there's a code for the next weekend.
Yeah.
I would personally rather that businesses waited until June to do their promotion, if they're going to do it, because then you've had that month.
Yes,
to really think about what you need. If there are any gaps, need is a very strong one, isn't it? But if there are gaps in your wardrobe, you could do so with a kind of more clearer mind.
Yes,
than having a flash sale at the beginning of May. I'm like, no, not now. Later. Give us a chance to learn.
Yes, and there are so many different approaches to it, aren't there? People who take part in Me Made May do have a lot of different approaches, and you always encourage that, to take your own approach. But yes, you can push that approach a little bit more.
And just not mention the other one.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so.
Brilliant. Well, I cannot wait to follow to see the roundups as well in the Sober 50.
Yes, and I'll be interested to see if you do the 1 second a day thing and how that works. Yeah,
I think I will. I don't know if I'll post every week or maybe I'll wait till the end of the month. Judith, you're awesome. I really, really appreciate you jumping on the phone with me.
That's lovely. Thank you very much. Yeah, hope it all pulls together well for you.
Thank you, you too.
How good was that little chat? It was so sweet of Judith to do her homework by looking back at her pledges and takeaways from each year in advance of our conversation. Although I always emphasise that documenting your challenge is entirely optional, she's really shown us how keeping some sort of record can have real value. And we should all sit up and take note of Judith's main takeaway: to make what you want to wear, not what you want to sew. I think she may have cracked the code to sewing more sustainably there, so I guess my work is pretty much done then. Which seems a good time to wrap up this episode, and indeed this Me Made May related mini-series. If you have any Me Made May related questions that weren't answered, or comments you'd like to make, feel free to email me at zoe@checkyourthread, or find me on Instagram @checkyourthread, or on my personal feed @sozoblog.